Imagine this: the person you've shared every sunrise and argument with, the one who knows how to make you laugh even when you swore you wouldn't, the one who can finish your sentences and sometimes even read your silence. Now imagine that same person lying motionless on a hospital bed, surrounded by the cold rhythm of machines that refuse to stop reminding you of how fragile everything really is. For Kelly Ripa, this wasn't a scene from the daytime drama. It was her life, raw, unfiltered, and heartbreakingly real. She remembered the night vividly: the flashing red lights, the wail of sirens slicing through the city noise, her heart pounding louder than any alarm. Just hours earlier, she and Mark had been planning dinner, arguing playfully about who would cook, who would pick the wine, and suddenly she was gripping his hand as paramedics rushed him through antiseptic hallways under sterile fluorescent lights that felt too bright for a moment so dark. Fear has a smell. It's hospital sanitizer and cold metal and your own breath trembling in your throat. Kelly said she couldn't believe it was happening, that the man who made her laugh every morning on national television was now fighting for every breath. In those early hours in the intensive care unit, Mark barely spoke, but when he did, his words cut through the beeping and buzzing like a prayer. He wanted to see their children. It wasn't a request, it was a plea, one every parent understands deep down. He didn't want to talk about his pain. He didn't even want to talk about what had happened. He wanted to tell his kids he loved them in his own voice while he still could. That moment, Kelly said, broke her heart in a way no camera could ever capture. Her mind was spinning. Their kids were scattered, one working, one in school, one finding their way in the world. Should she bring them in to see their father like this? Should she protect them from the sight of the strongest man they knew, weak and gasping for breath, or honor his wish to look into their eyes one more time? She chose love, and that choice changed everything. When the children arrived, the room that once echoed with machines began to hum with something softer. A pulse of family, of memory, of everything that holds people together when everything else falls apart. Mark, despite the pain, managed to sit up. His voice was weak, but his heart was steady. He spoke to each of them, one by one. To his oldest, he talked about courage, about being a protector when life throws storms your way. To his middle child, he spoke of kindness and resilience, that strength isn't about never breaking, but about knowing how to bend without losing yourself. And to his youngest, he said the words that only a dad can say with a half smile and a spark of mischief: never stop laughing. Even when life feels impossible, find the joke, find the joy. It wasn't just advice, it was legacy. Kelly stood by, holding his hand, her tears falling silently. She could see it in his eyes, that mixture of love and acceptance, of fear and peace, that only someone standing between this life and the next can truly feel. And when the children finally left the room, Mark turned to her. His voice was barely more than a whisper. He said, "Promise me. Promise me you'll tell them every day how much I love them. If I can't say it tomorrow, you will." That was the moment her world stopped. She nodded. She promised. And she prayed harder than she had ever before, not just for healing, but for time. For one more morning, one more laugh. The nights that followed were endless. The kind of nights where hope and fear take turns sitting beside you. She would close her eyes and see flashbacks of their life, their wedding day, the goofy dances in the kitchen, the way he'd wink at her before they went live on air. Every beep from the monitor became a lifeline she clung to. She said later, "Until you're in that room, you don't realize how much you measure life in beeps and readouts." But then, slowly, miraculously, things began to change. Mark's breathing steadied. His color returned. His smile, that mischievous, boyish grin that made America fall in love with him, flickered back into existence. It wasn't a dramatic movie moment recovery. It was small steps. A spoonful of broth, a steady breath, a shared laugh. And then came the line that made Kelly laugh through her tears. Mark looked at her, messy bun, 3-day-old sweater, eyes swollen from crying, and said, "You look beautiful, but honey, you need a shower." That was the moment she knew. Her Mark was coming back. The laughter that filled that sterile room was the purest sound she had ever heard. Her kids joined in. Michael, the eldest, took charge, asking doctors questions, managing updates, taking notes like a soldier on a mission. Lola brought home his favorite pillow and started playing his favorite songs. The youngest one cracked jokes, read him ridiculous internet stories, and turned the room into a comedy club. It wasn't just recovery, it was revival. Together, they transformed the ICU from a place of fear into a sanctuary of love and noise and laughter. Nurses started peeking in just to smile. Doctors lingered longer than usual. Even the machines seemed quieter. But the road wasn't easy. Mark had moments where exhaustion took over, times when even opening his eyes was too much. Kelly confessed that she would sneak into the hospital chapel just to cry. She didn't pray with words anymore, just tears. She said she wasn't the strong one. He was. She was just the one holding the line while he fought his battle. And then one night, during a quiet vitals check, Mark reached out. He didn't speak. He just held her hand, tight. That silent squeeze said everything. It was his way of saying, "I'm not leaving. I'm still here." The day he was finally moved from the ICU to a regular room felt like victory. Nurses lined the hallway clapping. Kelly pushed his wheelchair forward, her heart bursting with relief. She said it felt like leading him out of the storm and into sunlight. But coming home, that was another challenge. The man who had once been unstoppable now needed help just getting to the kitchen. Yet through every small step, the family grew closer. They learned to slow down, to laugh more, to say "I love you" instead of "see you later." Arguments about chores vanished. Dinner conversations stretched longer. Every good morning and good night felt sacred. When Kelly returned to her morning show, she admitted it felt surreal. How could she sit under studio lights and gossip about celebrity news when she had just stared death in the face? But then she realized something profound. Her story wasn't unique. It was a love story disguised as a near tragedy. A reminder for everyone watching that life doesn't give out advance warnings, that every argument you think can wait, every "I love you" you delay, might just be the one thing you never get to say. She looked into the camera that morning and said, softly but clearly, "We all think we have time. We move the call, we skip the hug, we say, 'I'll tell them tomorrow.' But miracles don't wait. Love doesn't wait." Mark is home now, recovering, laughing again, annoying her in all the familiar, comforting ways. But they're not the same people who planned that dinner weeks ago. They're softer, stronger, more grateful. And as she said, when life throws you into those hospital rooms and everything feels uncertain, remember this. At the end of the day, love is all that matters. Say it often, say it loudly, and never, ever wait for tomorrow. Because tomorrow, if you're lucky, comes with laughter, a heartbeat, and the person you love smiling at you. Maybe even telling you to go take that shower.